This is an HR program on demand, a living seed capsule of work life and workplace coming live from a rooftop in Stockholm, Sweden. It's me, Ann-Marie Andrich, and
me, Katarina Berg.
A vodcast, if you like, on HR, straight across the counter. Sponsored by HR The Real Deal, HR by HR for HR. Hi, Katarina.
Hi.
You know what? I just realized 2023 is a very special year for you. Now, hold it. Hold it. Because 10 years ago, in November 2013, you joined Spotify.
Oh, that's very true.
So this is your Spotiversary.
In November.
In November.
Yeah.
The 10th. A whole decade. How does that feel?
I've never been this long in any company.
No.
So it's a bit out of character that way. Two, it feels unreal, a decade in the same company. But when you start to unpack, it doesn't feel that strange that I keep kind of it's easy to repurpose yourself here. It's also kind of one of those reproposals, like Ari would say. Because when I started, if you want to kind of not be 100% truthful, it was the end of kind of the startup phase. And then I've been here, luckily enough, for my sake, in two phases of a scale up. And now, at least in this part of the world where the weather is as lovely as ever, we are a bit more mature, right? Even if we, as late as during the pandemic, entered 82 new markets. So obviously we're not mature in all these markets, and all the markets might not be super mature either. But it's been 10 really, really interesting years. And I think for a person that sometimes get a bit, haven't been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, let's do something else. It's been very interesting. And I also think pressure testing, should I stay or should I go?
That's a good song.
Yeah. I have the best team ever. And when you get spoiled with having great people around you that you learn from every day and also challenges you, it's been easy to stay on in so many ways. And it's been easier and easier rather than the opposite. 10 years.
10 years
Wow.
is 10 years. That's
Yes.
respect. You mentioned a word. You said repurpose yourself. I like that. What do you mean by that?
No, but we know when we start at the job, no matter what role, no matter who you are, it's kind of like the U curve, right? You get in, it's honeymoon phase, everything is pink, everything is dandy. It's at least if it's not feeling like, oh, I did the wrong choice here. And it's usually not you, it's usually not the company either. It's just maybe not a perfect match. But if it is, or there's something there, everything is good until you come down in the kind of the lower part of the U, and then you start to pressure test a couple of chosen truths, obviously, and then you go, is this really as fun? Do I still grow? Am I developing? And then you push through, and down here you might not have so much energy, right? But if you then decide that you're going to stay on, everything goes up again, right? Because it's a conscious decision. And these are the things I think it's not just for work, but in life, very, very important that you are responsible for actually motivate yourself and repurpose yourself. So this happens obviously if you in any place or in any type of relationship for 10 years and then maybe longer, you have to do that. And that is your responsibility, I believe in. The other thing is for people that stays on and don't like it, it's just more about you than your boss, your colleagues, your friends at work, but also your company.
Yeah.
And then if you always think that, you know, the executive team or my colleagues, my team, my closest manager, they don't get it, and you still stay on, again, doesn't that say more about you than them?
True.
So I think it's important to have that philosophy with yourself and the deal with yourself. And I know starting here with my boss, we had the end year discussions. And then we talked about the next coming 3 years in the beginning, and then we kind of committed for 2 years. Now, I think it's fair to say that a couple of years ago, it's like, let's commit for 1 year, because it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of hours. It's also very kind of rewarding. But I don't want to be here just because it's convenient, or I don't want to become complacent, or I don't want to, like, okay, the team will do it and I will not necessarily lean in as much as I did in the beginning. But it's different things that you do all the time. So it's about that growth. And then, of course, it's not just my team, it's also the team, the executive team, right? I have a boss that is challenging me in a very, very nice way. Sometimes it's like, oh, isn't this too much? Or I don't necessarily know how to deal with this or do this. But but I enjoy that very much. And I also enjoy my colleagues in that team that reports into Daniel.
So what I hear is you remarried Daniel Ek, your boss, a few times during these 10 years.
Yeah, only in a professional way.
Yes,
of
I
course.
know.
Yes,
I know.
he's happily married.
I know he is. I was just playing with words.
I'm very old compared to my boss. Yeah.
But the interesting thing is also during this decade, I will say decade because it's like massive, right? 10 years. You started as a CHRO. You're still the CHRO of Spotify, but you also had multiple roles in addition to that role. So tell us, how many different roles have you had so far?
But one thing that has like stuck with me during my career is my first love, obviously, or maybe not obviously, but is in HR, right? But it's not my only love. And I don't think there's been one company through my career where it was only HR. It's been IT. It's actually been the transmission team when I was in broadcasting. It's been always facilities in different phases. It's been everything that you can almost think of, except for tech or finance. And there's a reason why it's never been finance. But the thing is, at Spotify, what I like both with kind of the view and the viewpoint, and also how Daniel leads the company, it's never yours forever. And when it's relevant, it will sit with you. So you have teams, and then you give teams back where they should be for the next phase. And that's how you also grow, and this is also why it's interesting. So I think it's 2 years ago now when I handed back brand and creative to my dear colleague Alex Nordstrom, that heads up, amongst a lot of things, marketing team. So brand and creative went from HR being a bit Switzerland in that sense that we are neutral and we want to have a hero brand, right? And then I loved working with that team. It's also so close. Brand and creative together with employee brand makes sense for a phase of the company. And then I handed it back. It was sad to see them go, but it was the right thing. Yeah. So I didn't really, think much of it. There was another team that I had for a longer time, which was the company strategy operations. Handed that back recently to Gustav Söderström, who heads up product and tech, or R&D. Also makes sense because for the phase that we go into and the changes we did in the beginning of the year, they sit much better with him to get that kind of last push. And most of the company bets are 100% tech. They were when they sat with me too, but there are other things, right? And also it was more important that they sat with us when we had more focus on ways of working, especially for the tech organization. So, and then global workplaces services, which is everything from real estate, IT, business protection, design and build out. And
that's office space for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So all things that are that has to do with physical things, but touches the people constituents, sit with me. And that is kind of with the notion of before even people join us, and when we prepare their workstations or the way that they're going to work, and workstation sounds like it has to be physically in an office, but obviously it's not when we have work from anywhere. All the things that could help them get started and getting up from kind of the starting blocks and start to kind of hit hurdles, it sits with me, and it makes it a bit more logistics. In that way, but it also makes my life and my work life much more interesting because it's so many different things. It's very diverse in that sense.
That's when you are a multi-talent. This is where Daniel can throw all things at you. So my dear.
I used to say this, everything that is broken he gives to me, but obviously the people in the team was not broken, but in the processes, right?
Yeah.
And then when it's fixed, That's what I say. Then I hand it back.
Then you hand it back
Yeah.
to Alex.
Or to
Nordström.
Gustav.
Or to Gustav.
Or yeah.
So what's next then? What do you... Is there any part of any
Or are
discipline?
you looking for me to say like, I here just going to reveal that I just resigned?
No.
No?
I was more like, so what's next on your palette?
No, but you're never done. It's. I think our business is a game of hit, rehit, and remind, and anything that you stop working with and trying to get better, that is when you stop being good too.
Yeah.
So it's not one of those things, but it's all about if you start at the business acumen, right? Where the core business is, and where do we actually challenge, push back, but also support and grow the teams. It's both the org design, right? How do we do that? And the example of me getting things within my span of control and my remit and then handing back, I think that mirrors that. The second thing is, obviously, we were in hypergrowth for the first almost 17 years. We're still hiring. We're still hiring more than most people in companies in Sweden. But it's compared to where it was, and especially 2022, it's not really a big feat in that sense that we need to be scouting everywhere and trying to find talent everywhere. The other thing is with work from anywhere, it's helped us to dig into talent pools that we couldn't do before. So we're much more flexible by providing that freedom. So how do you do that? Because I don't think there is one company that has cracked the code 100%, where you have some people working, dispersed and also distributed, and some people come in. And I think for the people, to be honest, if I'm going to be a bit provocative, is I think they have found a rhythm better than the managers.
Yeah.
The leaders and the managers is like, it's easier when everybody's here. It is. It's easier when everybody's working synced rather than asynced, right? The tools, and we have had more than 100 years of practicing that. So when you get into kind of a blocker or any type of hurdles, you go, this does not work because that's how we program. Well, it doesn't work because we don't know how to actually do and lead and manage when everybody is not necessarily in front of you.
I'm going to nicely interrupt you now, because what you're doing is typically what you typically do.
Yes.
Is you divert the attention from yourself to the team and the work that you... I want to talk about you and your 10 years.
Okay, but that's
so
going to be a very
back.
short conversation. Not very interesting.
No, yes. So two final questions.
Yes.
If you were to give a piece of advice to the Katarina 10 years ago, knowing what you know today on the journey, what would you tell her?
Not to lose yourself, because entering Spotify meant a lot of things. And the first year, especially the first 2 years, was not an easy ride. And I came in with the experience I had then, which was not like 2 years, it was like more than 20 years, from different industries, and found a way that I wanted to work and that worked for me, and not being a blue copy of the work, because you can't do that when you are in different industries, right? And every second time it was a startup, every second time it was a big, mature, very kind of the product was mature, the people were mature, and the company was mature. So kind of those typical Swedish companies that have been around for 120 or 300 years. And then it was a startup. Came to Spotify, and there were so many things that I recognized, but everybody kept telling me, don't do that, don't speak like that, don't act like that, don't touch that. It's because you don't understand, and we are very, very unique. And I bought into that. So I tried to do and please, which meant that I didn't do anything that was really good. And for sure, I didn't do what I usually do. And instead of doing what I think I wrote down, I need to do this and change this, fix this, lean in more here, lean out here. I didn't do that. It took me almost 2 years to do that. And realizing too that I was a very kind of odd animal in the zoo, because I was the only back then woman in the leadership team. Today we're 50-50, right? I was a bit older than most people in a senior position today. I'm happy to say I'm not the oldest, but anymore. But seriously, and also I was a behavior scientist in a very, very strong tech company, not even a product company. And I also brought in a couple of things that I knew was good for the company, but most people were upset because they thought I was changing a lot of the culture.
True.
But that was also why I was brought in by Daniel and Martin. So it was a daily kind of, let's see if we can get rid of her. Let's see if we can make her either resign or get fired. And I should have acted much faster, and I should have listened to kind of, this is me, this is what I do. This is what I do actually quite well. Instead, I kind of lost myself in the sense of trying to please. I don't think you should ever do that. And then when I started to do things, it was a massive resistance. And it was not just, I would say, people that were against my ideas. It was close to hate and hatred. And here we are, 10 years later, everybody keeps telling me, like, it must be easy to work in a company that's doing so well, where the people policy and the strategy and philosophy is so centered. So back to, why do I talk about the team? You don't change that by yourself. You do that with a team, and you do that because you know what's right, and you also know that you signed up for something. And when you get the opportunity to work for a company that has all the possibility, all the opportunities, smart people, and there's small things that needs to be changed, then you should do that. And then if that is an organ rejection, then it is. Then you should go somewhere else where kind of your experience is wanted. Here I am. I don't regret anything. I think this is one of the best, if not the best and most interesting HR job in the world. I'm so happy that Daniel persuaded me to join. I'm also so happy that I stayed. And the things that I have experienced here and the work that we have done together. But the thing that we haven't talked about, it was 10 years in November. It's also 10 years you and I met each other.
Yes.
Because we both spoke at a summit.
Yeah.
And you were quite early in kind of the speaker roster, and I was a bit later. And since then, we got to know each other really well. And
it's a decade of
friendship. Yes.
And HR peering and coaching and sparring and talking and the internal HR talk.
Yes, that, and agreeing on most things. But what I also like is that we don't agree on everything, which is also a learning opportunity, which is super cool. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing those learnings, Katarina.
And for the next 10, right?
Daniel, for the next, she stays. She's here.
No.
So, but to close it off,
yes.
Because there are so many things you and the team can be proud of what you achieved for the past 10 years. What is the one thing, if you had to choose one thing, Katarina, that you're the most proud of what you have accomplished together? What would you say then?
I don't think it is what we have accomplished together, if I don't talk about the company, but if I talk about the HR function. It is what I'm most proud of is my team. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people work for 10 or 40 or 50 years and they have never experienced what it is to work with really, truly talented people that also likes each other, has each other's back, but still, because of kind of that safety and that environment that they have created together with each other, where they all know that when they do things, they, as I said, have each other's back, means where they also challenge each other and they don't agree on everything. But when we go as a team, we go hard.
Exactly. Beautiful. It's always about the team.
It is.
Thank you so much. Congratulations on your Spotiversary.
Thank you very much.
And
it's just maybe a week or two away, right?
let's hope you celebrate royally.
I will. It's just I think it's
important to celebrate.
It's important to celebrate. It's not very Swedish. It's not very tech to celebrate either. But I will celebrate 10 years of pure happiness, at least the last 8.
Great. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, the 3 things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Stay safe, stay strong, stay active.
Idemedalje. Ja,
Jag saknar 2 smaker i mitt Big Pack.
ja, rosa.
Vad är jordgubben och vaniljen? Men här är det helt plötsligt en jävla ärta.
Oj, så gullig, så gullig. Som en liten björn. Kolla.
Du är som en liten ärta.
Ja, ärtan och björnen.
Okej.
Jag får hålla i björnen.
Så gosig.
Hello Katarina.
Hi. Hi.
Okay.
Okay, here we are.
Hello Katarina.
Hi! You got
Okay,
energy.
okay, here we
let's
go.
do this.
Yes.
Okay. Secret topic. What is the topic?
Mm.
Pengarna rullar in som de ska nu. Såklart.